Hey guys, welcome to another show. Welcome to live stream number 40 of the year. Tonight's episode, or the topic for tonight, is defense against the dark arts. Yes, I am having a little bit of a play on words, and this came about from some things that happened in the last couple of days that brought this up, so I thought it was a good topic to hit. So before we jump into anything and to everything, please let me know if you can hear and see me. Give me a 1 if the audio and video is good for tonight's show. Hopefully everyone is doing well. We have a few people in the house already. We've got Old Shawnee Road, Tara, GA, Lyle is in the house, Joel, which I think is new. So welcome, Joel. You guys some people give me a hard time about my topic choice. Happy campers, welcome to the channel, welcome to the show. And I hope you guys are doing well. Good. I see a bunch of 1s, so that means everything is good. I'm also testing out a new set of monitors, headphone things. So if this completely drives me crazy, I'll switch back later. Sorry about the slow start tonight. Started getting phone calls right as I was going, so I had to turn all that stuff off. So hopefully everyone is doing well. It's been an interesting time, to say the least. But before I jump into everything, I'm going to jump into my normal stuff. My first thing is a disclaimer. I am not a therapist. I'm an individual much like you. I've developed some tips and techniques that have helped me through my experience that I share with you, hopefully to help you. Be careful when you are referring to your toxic ex in clinical terms by calling them or diagnosing them like as NPD. If you don't have a diagnosis, that can get you into a bit of trouble, and you definitely don't want to do that. So only a doctor or clinician therapist in a proper setting can make a diagnosis. If you want to get a hold of me during tonight's live stream, the best way to do that, as I move my screens around, is to, if you're on a PC or Mac, if you just tag me, just go at DSD, it'll give you a drop down, and you say, question, here is I'm saying it wrong, but I'll just say question. And you can see it highlights me in orange, and anybody else you do that to, it will also highlight them in orange. And you can always do the super chat thing. I'm not going to go through that, but if you want to support the channel that way, you can. Let me move this back over, get everything back in line. So on that, I'm just going to jump into everything else so I don't waste up too much time. Let me see. I see Keating says dark arts. My ex was into magic. She put a spell on me. That's pretty funny. Okay, so I'm going to just jump into this so we can kind of get this conversation and the discussion going. If I lost my train of thought. So let me get everything geared up and I will start going. So obviously this is a play on words. And I say that because we're dealing with basically somebody who is pretty darn unethical. So we're going to cover this in a couple different things. The main topic for tonight is recognizing what you're dealing with. Catch yourself in the moment so you don't make mistakes, and then focusing on the long game as you're going through this. But the first thing I want to talk about is why this is important. And this is very critical in the beginning stages of this. I recently was talking with somebody who is looks to be in the beginning stages. And it made me think about this. This is why this topic came up. And bottom line is, or why this is important, is your actions are super critical. That whatever decision or what you do right now or in that beginning stage defines the future, is going to set the stage for how everything is going to go forward. And if you do not understand that, you will make mistakes. Generally, people not focus on, but there are patterns of behavior that people typically do whenever they're stressed. And if you're in these situations and you are being stressed and provoked, then you can make mistakes. And each and every mistake you make significantly reduces your opportunity for success and achieving your long-term goal, which is not to be destroyed and not to have, if you have children, have your relationship with them destroyed as well. So anyways, so what we're going to do on this is we're going to dive into this. If there's questions after each section, like if you have a question or something you want to hit right now about this topic, do that now, and then we'll move on this is how we've kind of been doing it lately. And I'm going to, I like Rich says, you need a gumball machine in the back. What? I got a lamp. I got my nice lamp and my nice little tree. What more do I need? So that's pretty funny. I love that. Let's see. Shay was okay. So I will focus on any other question or any other topic after we get through this. GA says, Duane, no reaction. They soon move on to the next act. They just can get more pathetic and desperate. No contact, narc free. Yeah, and that's great, but it's when you're in the beginning parts of this, it's really tough. And I mean, I know I made mistakes. I was very fortunate that I understood a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight. But even with that, I still made mistakes because I understood it in context of my professional career. I didn't necessarily understand it dealing with family court and dealing with somebody who I thought was not going to try to, destroy everything. Okay, so the next thing is what are you dealing with? And this is, I know a lot of us here already understand this, but there could be some people new on this. So I think it's important to go through this, but it's critical to see your ex as the enemy they are. I remember early in this, my father said to me that, now that you're going through this, your ex is the worst enemy that you've ever experienced in your entire life. And I didn't quite understand what he was talking about or what he meant, but I soon did as things progressed. Trusting your narcissistic ex equals putting yourself in danger. And that is really tough because in the early stages of this, oftentimes you don't really see. You're still stuck in the fog, so you don't really understand how effectively evil someone can be. It's also really important to understand their tactics and what they're going to try to do. And we're getting to that in a moment. And bottom line is keeping your focus on the war and not the individual battle. You don't want to be playing checkers. You want to be playing chess. So, sometimes you have to sacrifice a move to win the game overall, and that's critical. All right, so any questions on this? If you guys are ready to move forward, just give me a 1. And if somebody has something, tag me. And I want to hear what you have to say. All right. Oh, it's weird not having my normal headphones. So I have them in a pinch if I don't like these. So I might change back. Okay. So I'm going to run into, I already thought I was going to switch screens on that. So the next thing on this, and what I call this catching the moment. And what's really important about this is being able to recognize what's going on in real time, what's happening. And the main thing on this is recognizing that you're being provoked. Recognize that you're, like GA says, behind enemy lines. You're in a hostile environment. And everything it needs to be on heightened alert. And know your mental state. Know where you're at. If you are sick, if you are worn out, if you are tired, if you've worked a double shift, if you are just not at 100%, you need to minimize your interaction. I'm talking about even if you're still married and everything is just in the process of falling apart, you have to know where you're at, recognize that you're in a vulnerable state, and not take that bait, or don't put yourself in that situation. That can be really tough because when you're still with the person, you typically are going to go home. I mean, it's one of those things where, but you need to understand this. This is critically important because they will use anything and everything against you. So if they can ascertain that you are sick, worn out, tired, vulnerable to attack, and I don't want this to be paranoid. I mean, I don't want this to like cause people to have more of an anxiety attack, but it's one of those things where you need to just think about it, recognize it and understand it so that you can stop yourself from reacting or responding negatively. So basically, like the last bullet on this slide right here, stop and do not react. Stop yourself. Go to sleep. Leave, sleep on the couch, do whatever, but recognize that you are in a vulnerable state and that puts you at risk. So, as anyone in here, can anyone relate to this? I'm sure a lot of you have been in this situation where you absolutely have been played. Maybe it's playing out right now. So if you are, and you can relate to this, I just say, Rain says yes, say yes, instead of a 1, because we'll use the ones for the moving on. And Shay says, hit that thumbs up button. It's the DSD cover charge. GA says yes. I Like Grit says, you are speaking the truth. If you are tired or sick, they will push you. I do not know why, but they push. Well, I tell you, you know what? That is a great comment. And the reason they do it is because they know you're vulnerable. Think about it. Most of the time, I mean, a lot of times you will be attacked by a narcissistic person, toxic person, when you are sick. I don't know how many times that happened to me. I would either be sick and recovering and I would get attacked, or I would be very focused on a problem at work. And it's like, they recognize whenever you are not 100%, and they will do that to create drama. Oh, Blue asked a question about college. No, I haven't been court ordered to do that. I was lucky enough not to have that put in the thing. That would have been a catastrophe. Okay, if you guys are ready to move on to the next part, I will do that. Like I said, we're going to run through this kind of quick because I know lately we've been doing this it's been taking a long time, and then it minimizes the rest of the time that we have. John says, very true. I was sick and dying with Lyme disease and was attacked and thrown in court and thrown out of my house. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They, in that situation, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do, but they will absolutely attack you or do things whenever you are at your most vulnerable. All right, so let me get everything lined up. So the next part on this is playing the long game. Like I mentioned earlier, play chess, not checkers. Again, this is a war, not a battle. You don't have to fight everything. You need to recognize, what your opportunities are for success and to make the best decisions that you possibly can. You don't want to put yourself in a situation to where you're provoked, you make a mistake, you lash out, and it just causes all kinds of extra problems. There's a lot of people on the channel, some of them are here tonight, who fell victim to that. They were provoked, they did something benign, but the ex was able to use that as a checkmate move, if we're talking about checkers, to just destroy them. We oftentimes hand them victories by responding or reacting in the moment under duress, and they are just waiting for it to happen. I've used, I can't remember the movie, but they've even showed it sometimes in movies where someone will be provoked and then they make a mistake, and then the other person is like, ha ha, I'm going to use that against you, so much for custody for you, that type of thing. Think about it. It's that common that people put it in movies. It's like this stuff, it does happen. Realistically, they're going to do everything they can, even if they're making stuff up. You don't want to respond in a way that makes them, or that validates or even puts some validity into the story of what they're trying to say. So, and that goes into the next part, is really ask yourself this: does your actions today, does what you're getting ready to do help you get to your ultimate goal? Is it really going to, it might solve an issue right now, it might lash out right now, but is it really going to help you get to the next part? And then ultimately, you just have to keep yourself safe and minimize your opportunity for making mistakes. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch headphones. So stand by one. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. That's much better. Thank you for bearing with me on that. All right. So what do you guys think? Are you guys playing the long game? Have you been able to make that pivot and focus on not what's happening in the immediate, not lashing out, not trying to hold them or make them pay for everything they've done? Are you able to focus on what's really your long-term goal? So if you are, I would like to hear yes. If you're struggling with it, say no. If you have a question, please ask it. And then we'll move into the last part of this. And by the way, these headphones sound so much better. Scott says, darn right. GA says, new job and focusing on my future. Yes. Good for you, GA. I see yeses. C Lewis says, playing the long game. Mr. Skull says yes. Tara says yes. Dean says struggling at times. That is completely understandable, Dean, because this is tough. This is tough. Narcissistic Abuse Rehab says the dark arts. Who can resist a title like that? And think about it, right? I don't know. Obviously, I'm making a play off of Harry Potter, but I think it makes sense, right? And that's kind of a good analogy. These kids in the movie are learning how to progress and learning how to increase their skills to be able to fight, pure evil. And that's kind of what we're doing. That's the game, not game, but that's the situation we've been thrust into. So we have to learn these skills. We have to learn the techniques on how to protect ourselves, how to not respond, how to minimize the damage that they're doing, especially in the beginning, and then even long term. It's this ongoing thing. It's this ongoing issue that we're trying to master. Dean says, the ex ran away with my children 1,000 miles away, and lawyers and court process is slow. Yes, it is. And we have to be mindful of that and not allow that. See, that's again, that kind of goes in. I'm glad you brought that up, Dean, because oftentimes you get so fixated on the immediate, and that's terrible, right? That is a freaking, close to a death blow whenever an ex is able to just run away with the kids. But you have to focus on the long game on this. Focus on winning the war, which means you need to make sure you don't make decisions. You need to be strategic about, and tactical in some ways, about what you're doing, right? If they leave, you need to file immediately. You need to get court ongoing. You need to establish not residency, but jurisdiction for your case where you're at. Because when they go move 1,000 miles, Dean, what they're doing 90%, 99% of the time is they're moving to establish residency in this new place 1,000 miles away. And the second that they're a resident, they file for divorce there, and then now you have to go there. So you have to be very careful on that. And that is a common tactic I've seen many times. All right, let's see. I missed some comments. And let's see, I'm just checking, and I'm about ready to move to the final. Actually, I'll just go ahead and move to the final slide on this. And that is, what is the point of this discussion? It's basically a reminder that a narcissist will gaslight and push you to try to provoke you to get you to respond. It's like one of those things where they will sit there and just keep poking at you, poke, until you finally explode. They're going to, or a narcissist will attack you when you're tired, whenever you've been sick, or you're just completely emotionally spent. A narcissist will try to get you to act in the way that they are telling everyone that you are. So if they're saying, "Oh my God," like in my situation, "Oh my God, Duane is such a meanie. He pokes, he just yells and screams and does all these things." And then it's like, poke. And then I explode. And then it's like, see? It's like you need to understand that they're trying to provoke a response, and it's often better whenever you can anticipate what they're trying to do. And bottom line is, they're setting you up to make mistakes. They're trying to set you up to give them a victory, to prove their point, to be able to use that with a custody evaluator. I was talking to an individual earlier, and they were talking about how their ex could be just vicious, and then on a dime, and this is what I was actually mentioning this, on a dime, change into crying and pretend and playing the victim, and I'm so scared, and I'm this and I'm that. And they will do that. They can read these situations so damn quick and pivot on an instant to morph into what they need to propel their story, to propel their narrative. And you have to be aware of that. You have to understand that. And that is really tough when you're at the beginning stages and you still are stuck in the fog. You still don't understand what's going on, and you think that they can't be this bad. They're not going to do that. They wouldn't do that. That's not, no, they would never try to railroad me. They would never try to alienate the kids. That's not who they are. For every moment that we don't recognize exactly what we're dealing with, it's a huge risk. And that, you guys, is tonight's topic, is my defense against the dark arts, is seeing behind the curtain, being able to recognize what they are, what they're doing, so that you can take steps to protect yourself, to make sure that they're not able to push you into a corner to allow them to win. If anybody has seen the Harry Potter movies, there's a section in there where there's one thing where it projects back to you what your deepest fear is. And you have to understand that so you know how to fight it. And that's kind of what this thing is. So I'm going to look and see where we are with the comments. We actually went through that one pretty quick tonight. GA says, Duane, so true. What does reacting achieve? Absolutely nothing, and it puts you at serious risk of making things worse. John says, Duane, you described my rotten pumpkin perfectly. Using the pumpkin emoji. I love that. That's pretty funny. I hadn't thought about that. I like where it says, Duane, just for you to have that, Sorry, I have to read that again. Just for you to have that wisdom to speak from experience, brother, you walk the walk. Yeah, well, yeah. See, and that's part of the problem is people who haven't been through this, they don't get it. They don't understand it, right? And they're really sad, and I'm glad you said that, because I also want to just add something in this, and that, you have to be careful about how you approach this, because you can easily come across looking like you're paranoid, you're delusional, and that can hurt you as well. And I should have put that in the slides, because it's a combination of all these things, because as soon as you start getting paranoid, going, oh my God, they're going to attack, and they probably are, but if you're saying that to everyone, then you come across, like I came across, just appearing unhinged and emotionally unstable. So let's see what else we got going on here. Lyle says, I need a time machine. Man, I think all of us do. I mean, I know some of us could use it. I would gladly give up my trip to you, Lyle, for you to be able to go back and try to protect yourself a little bit better on this. GA says, Duane, I wouldn't know what I would do without these videos. I do not know how I came across them. Just looked on YouTube one day, and thank God I did. I was in a dark place. It's funny you say that, GA. Hold on, I'm trying to move a cable that's messing with my foot. Darn cables. That's kind of the reason I created this channel. I mean, I knew how dark of a place I was in. And I know that, I had a pretty decent support system. I didn't have anybody who understood narcissistic abuse and specifically what I was going through, but I did have people who were there for me. I did have people who happened to call just at the right moment on the right day that I needed. I had a great group of old friends that came back into my life. And I often would think about what would have happened if I didn't have that. In those dark moments, if the phone didn't ring, if somebody didn't pick up, what would have happened? And as a result of that, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? If I can make a videos or online content, maybe I could find somebody in that state, and maybe like GA was saying, you key in the right keyword, and bam, the right thing pops up, and helps you through that moment and helps you to the next day. And then the next and the next and the next until you really start to recover and feel like you're starting to get your life back. Lyle says, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that you're not. He didn't say not, but I know exactly what he's saying. Committed to the Shift says, Duane, forgot to tag you last time. If you're going to try to get revenge on a narcissist, dig 2 graves. Absolutely. Very good point. It's not, typically it's not, well, not typically, it is not worth it. You have to be very strategic in your actions. And the problem is that if you try to attack a narcissistic person and you don't really have your plan laid out well, and you lose, or you don't have a crushing victory, very often what happens is they feel more emboldened. I don't know how many times I fought back on things, or I thought I understood things a certain way, and they would progress, and it wouldn't go that way, and go the way that I anticipated. And then what happened is it just made it worse. That even happened like on our first court hearing. I'm like, oh my God. In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get 50-50. If I don't get 50-50, this is financially going to destroy me, and it's just going to drag this on, and it's going to be a nightmare. And I didn't. It didn't go the way, she wanted weekend, standard visitation weekend dad. And I was able to push to get, 70-30, I think it was, or maybe like 67-33 or something. But the amount of money that I was paying at that was just crushing. There was no, she took it as a victory, and it just made things worse, and it drug them on. And unfortunately, the family court system is like Dean was saying earlier, it's not a fast system. It's not something that moves quickly. Justice does not, or the justice system or the legal system does not move quickly. Sometimes we can use that to our advantage, but whenever you're hurting and you're bleeding, and it's so easy to get fixated on those checkers moves to try to do something right now, and typically that'll just blow up in your face and make things a lot worse. So, all right. Let's see. Chad says, I turned into a narc whisperer. Now that I've done the research, I'm able to articulate it better. No, that's actually a really good point. And I think what you're saying, Chad, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you're saying is now that you understand how to articulate it, you can communicate to other people what's going on without it appearing like you have lost your mind. And that's typically the problem that we have, is that we go to communicate this and we start, and you start throwing out terms and getting all excited, and everyone else is like, holy crap, what the hell happened to Duane? Did he lose his freaking mind? But when you can start talking about things in a calm, rational manner and focus on actions and not just what they're saying, focus on really what's going on, then people can start to see through it. I know I often say in most of my videos and even my older videos, don't fight smear campaigns. And that's typically because in the early parts of this, you can't. Because if you try to fight it, you are going to basically hand your ex a victory and potentially create another flying monkey. That's why in that situation, you're better off not even engaging, letting your ex play their hand to where they expose themselves so that these people start to see it. Realistically, once you kind of get a better understanding of this and you're better able, like what Chad is talking about, and hopefully, Chad, you're going to validate that that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Then you can communicate it in a different way. Then you can start kidding some topics, but doing it in a kind of like even almost a casual manner. Yeah, things are complicated. This is the type of stuff I'm dealing with. But you're not doing it like, oh my God, and this is what I'm doing. Can you believe that she did this? Right? And people, it's like, oh, geez, you freaking me out. But you have to really be careful about it. Again, when you're in the early stages on this, don't fight a smear campaign. Just stay away from it. Later, once you get more knowledge under your belt, then you can. But you have to do it in a calm, rational manner. Let's see. Lyle says revenge just brings you down to their level. And yeah, pretty much. Marcus says, went to family court today as a spectator to try to get more comfortable if I have to self-represent. It was it was interesting. That's an excellent idea. I actually had a friend of mine who encouraged me to do that. I never did, just from leave and time. It was just not really, at the time, not really an option I had. But if you do, that's not a bad idea. All right, Committee of the Shift says, Duane, our money is still together. He's traveling. Okay, I'm a little confused on that. Oh, okay, all right. Now I had to read that. So Committee of the Shift is saying our money is still combined, still together, and he is traveling and romancing his supply of the month. All I deal with, and I deal with all the financial consequences trying to pay bills and my family back for his adventures. And there's a long story with her situation that I probably could take a whole video on itself. John says, Duane, take a look at abuse by proxy. That's what they do. Oh my God, that is what they do. That is a very good point. Very good point, John. Let's see. Aaron says, I found that if she knows she is going to lose an argument, she will create a diversion to change the topic and mess with my head. Oh, absolutely. And Aaron, what you'll also notice typically is they can do it on a dime. It's like you can be going one way and the next thing they're going a completely different direction. Hey guys, and I said this the other day, and just to reiterate this, remember, they are not emotionally invested in the relationship, in any part of this. So it's not like when they're making an argument that they're emotionally invested in it. They're emotionally invested, or they're invested in, because they're really not connected to their emotions, they're invested in messing with you and getting a reaction. So that means if you're having an argument and they're starting to lose and they're like, okay, well, this isn't working, they can flip on a dime and move to something else. That is a very common tactic. And it messes with your head. It makes you like, what? So you have to understand that. Trill says, Duane, recognize the game that they're playing. And if you react to the bait, they will always try to make you out to be what they want you to be, even in the eyes of your own family and friends and the judge. That is so very true. Yeah, that's why you got to be really careful, because they will take things out of context So when I was talking about earlier about understanding what they're trying to accomplish and what they're doing, it's really important to understand that, because anything you do that they can use to say that you are that, or to back up their point, they're going to use. So you have to be really, really cognizant of that and watching that. Jay says, Duane, 100% laughing how much you said just what I was thinking. You know, I was doing a coaching call. I've done lately a few times in some of the coaching calls. You know, I'll take the situation and I'll basically say, okay, from what you're saying, my guess is that you are thinking and feeling this. And, you know, so far it's been exactly. Our experiences are so common, and not there. I mean, there's uniqueness to them. I mean, I'm not saying that they're all the same, but the emotions that we go through and the tactics they use are incredibly common. So it doesn't surprise me that I would be saying exactly what you're thinking, GA. All right. Lyle says, Duane, one thing that has brought me was the ability to articulate what happens in only a few short minutes, and it's effective. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it really is, right? I mean, if you can really get to the point and not kind of drift off or go down a rabbit hole, it really helps your argument. So I like this. Keating says, they have no staying power. That is very true. And what I mean, well, I'm not sure what exactly you mean, Keating, sorry. But that's in a lot of different ways, right? I mean, that's if they're trying to play their hand, they can only do it for so long. They can't really maintain the facade forever. And if they're not doing what they're on, they can easily switch, or not achieving what they want to achieve. It's real easy for them to switch. Okay. All right, let's see. GA says, mind that finger poking in your eye. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, guys. Let's see. If anybody has any questions for me, please put them out there and we can hit that. We can drive the conversation before. I don't know if I missed any earlier. But before I jump into that, or while you're doing that, did you guys enjoy this topic? Was that did I articulate that well? Did you guys find value in the information in tonight's live stream and topic? If yes, say yes. If you think I should have elaborated more, say no, I needed more. Oh, time has brought me, is what Lyle was saying. Let me go back and read that. Oh, Lyle said, one thing that time has brought me was the ability to articulate what happened in only a few short minutes, and it's effective. Okay, I don't know why I was having a hard time reading that. That's crazy. All right, I got a bunch of yeses. All good. Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like that. And let's see. John says, Duane, my psychologist friend has always said to me, you have to pretend she is dead. Great job, Duane. Thank you for that. And, you know, I mean, that's tough. I mean, I think it's good advice. And if you can wrap your head around, okay, you guys know I use a lot of analogies and stuff like that. So I am a huge fan of coming up with a mindset or a concept that helps you to deal with that. I think I would have had a hard time doing that just because I still had to deal with her. But I mean, if that works, I mean, if you can look at it and say, okay, that person is dead and they're gone, which is, I mean, effectively true. You know, your illusion is dead and they are never going to come back and be what you thought they were, then that's great. I mean, as I said in, Monday's video, you have to find the system that works for you. You have to find the techniques that work for you. And if something isn't working or a concept doesn't click with you, move on to something else, right? It's like, okay, hey, I mean, even my techniques. I mean, if you looked around and you go, okay, Duane says absolute thinking. I'm going to try it. And then you look at it and you're like, this doesn't make sense. This isn't working for me. Then that's fine. Find what works for you and use that to help you get to where you need to go. Trill says, Duane, the narcissist doesn't care about your feelings. That's why they are heartless towards you and even selfish to the kids, not wanting to realize the fact it's affecting them negatively because they don't care. They don't have that connection. They're only thinking about themselves. They only are focused on their victory, and everything else is collateral damage. That also is a good point because they use that against us, right? Because they know, for the most part, that we're not going to do that. So they can use that guilt card. They can try to play the, why can't you just do it for the good of the kids? You're not co-parenting, and setting you up to do that. But they only care about themselves. And the sad reality of this, and I'm sure Trill has probably experienced this already, is you're going to see this manifest itself or play out time and time again. And I will tell you guys, for me, when that happened, it was really, really tough. When things started to happen where it was just the ex was in clear, succinct ways just taking her finger and jabbing it, boop, right in the kid's eyes, it was hard to watch. And it's even harder whenever the kids basically are in that fog and they're like, that never happened. I was having a discussion with my son the other day, and he was talking about, we were talking about memories and stuff, and he's like, oh, I block things out. And I said, you realize that blocking things out is a symptom of emotional abuse. He's like, what? I'm like, I said, there's whole swaths. There's whole chapters. There's whole chapters in my childhood that I can't remember. And I know I've even had that discussion when I was still seeing my therapist. And I'm like, I know that that's a problem. That your defense mechanism, if your coping mechanism is you can just like purge what happened so you don't remember it, that's a bad thing. Anyways. And they just, that's the world they live in. Trill says, you spoke truth to power. You spoke truth to power, brother. Well, thank you, Trill. I appreciate that. Lyle says boop count is 1. That's funny. Let's see. I'm trying to look at these comments. Chad says they don't give a crap. They destroy everything they touch so nobody else can play with their toys. That is so very true. Narcissistic Abuse Rehab says, and they use the kids as pawns without a second thought about the damage they do because they don't care. They're expendable. It's tough to watch. It is so tough to watch. So, and I will say this, for the folks in here who are dealing with the early parts of this, where you're not seeing your kids, as long as you don't make a mistake they can leverage on. I'm starting to. There's this channel's been around long enough where I hear people who. I just got a note from someone the other day that said, I haven't seen my kids in 54 weeks. I finally won visitation. I'm finally going to get to see them. It hasn't happened yet, but finally the court has said, hey, enough is enough. And they're starting to switch. And guys, that's the key. And it's so easy to make a mistake whenever, if I go back, let me just go back to this. When you are in that state, right? Which finger am I using? That one. Whenever you're sick, you're worn out, tired, you're depressed, you're just in anguish because of what's happening. It's so easy for you to make a mistake. It's so easy for you to say the wrong thing, to send an email that says the wrong phrase, I don't know how many times people have tried to communicate something in a way to try to break a point out, or just kind of get through to their ex. And they say something, and then the ex is able to use it against them and just completely torpedo them. And you have to really be careful about that. This is a long-term thing. Dean says, I had visitation from the start, but things got so tough and she left. We have been in front of a judge twice, and not once have I been able to show my evidence. Dean, I would, you need to check out The Proper Person. Alex Falcone, the YouTube channel, is The Proper Person. Sometimes he's on the live streams. I didn't see him pop on tonight. He talks about court procedures, and you might want to just ping him or even command the courtroom, Wendy Hernandez, to get to just do a sanity check on what your attorney's doing and try to push that. But because I've heard that a lot, where people will walk in, they have their pile of paperwork, and the judge just ignores it and doesn't even give them an opportunity to present their information. Now, if it's in a preliminary part, maybe you have less options, but I would check them. Actually, well, let me do this real quick. What I'm going to do is I'll pop over here and I'll go here and I'll say, just you're searching for the proper person, which this is Alex Falcone. He has a lot of videos on the court procedures. He's an advocate for representing yourself. He's not an attorney, but he has done a lot in this YouTube space and talking about this. I would check him out. The other one is Command the Courtroom, which is Wendy Hernandez, and she is an attorney in Arizona, and she has a lot of information about the court procedures. But it would be very important for you to get more information about what's going on and double check what your attorney's doing to make sure that you're not being hosed, right? So Dean says, okay, I watched almost all of his videos, very encouraging. Watch many of hers as well. Okay, cool. So yeah, so just double check, right? I mean, and it's just, the only reason I say that is because sometimes, oftentimes, attorneys are more interested in just playing their part and not necessarily doing their job. So just be aware of that. GA says, Duane, inquired about Cordell Cordell. London appointments may happen soon. Good. I hope they work out for you. Just interview even a Cordell branch. Just make sure you interview them. You feel good about what they're going to do. If you can, check to see what their local, the references from their local office to make sure that people are happy, and then go for it. John says, Duane, my gal, Guardian Ad Litem, said to me, unless she is a heroin addict, I can't deny her having the kids. Yet I was taking care of the kids 90% of the time and lost all custody from a phone call. I don't remember. God, I'm trying to remember the details of your story. And man, I hear you on that. See, that's really the problem. I mean, okay. It's got its good and bad points, right? I mean, the problem is well, see, because I was on the flip side to this, right? I mean, my ex was trying to say that I was a scumbag, that I was violent, that I was mean and dangerous and emotionally abusive and all those things, and was pushing for majority or full custody with me having just little visitation. And it's, it's well, okay, she called the police. Oh, her phone call. I thought you made a phone call. Yeah, John. Well, but see, that's what I was talking about, John. I mean, that's what these people will do. They know how to play the damn game. I mean, that's pretty much what I was talking about in the beginning parts of this, right? Knowing what you're dealing with, because that's it. They're, and on that. So your mistake effectively was being in the house and giving her that opportunity to do it. Honestly, I would have been in the same shoes, except that when I talked to my whole family are cops. My dad's a retired cop. My mom's a retired cop. My brother is an active cop. I come from a long line of law enforcement, family. I'm basically the one that, didn't do the law enforcement thing. And my brother said to me, "You're an idiot if you file and you stay in the house." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, if she smacks herself in the face and calls, if it calls me and I'm the one who responds, you're going to jail. And then you're dealing with a criminal case and a family court case. And the problem is, a narcissistic, toxic ex will do that. Will take things, will do whatever they need to win. And they don't care about the collateral damage. They don't care about the damage to you. They don't care about the damage to the kids. They only care about themselves. I mean, Lyle says, I basically lost all custody from an email. And that's kind of what I was talking about before. I mean, you say something, but it can be taken out of context and you can lose. And in the fast-paced criminal court system, the family court system, they are not going to sit there and spend hours, because they don't have time, deep diving into all the nuances of it. They are going to do a cursory look, make a judgment call on what they're seeing and what they're basically extrapolating out in a moment on what their analysis is. And then you're stuck with it. John says, I was under care of a doctor and had a nurse infusing medication while she kicked me out. Yeah, I mean, that's right, John. I forgot. And, the problem is that's the type of crap that they will do. But I mean, and realistically, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you're in that type of situation. You didn't have many options, right? And she played her cards. And it's just evil. It's evil, right? It's the dark arts. These people will play in that thing because they don't care. All they care about is winning. I can't believe it. You're under care and call the cops and say, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's sad, but it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. John says, Duane, the police said to me she came in looking for a restraining order. And if that didn't happen, it could be that the cops were trying to help you out to get you the hell out of there so they didn't make it worse. All right, let's see what else we got going on. Happy Camper says, Duane, question, is it hard to get labeled as a narcissist? Okay. That is a multifaceted question, Happy Camper. And if you're asking, is it hard to get diagnosed as a narcissistic personality disorder, as having that? Yes, that's complicated. And if you in the DSM, whenever a clinician is going through that process, there is a lot they have to. If they're following the diagnosis criteria, there's a long thing to go through before you get to that, right? Like if you're doing a troubleshooting matrix, and it says, oh, it's your, whatever, it's the engine, it's this, it's, if this works, then go down to this. If this works, it goes down to this. They have to go through all those different things, rule out a whole bunch of other stuff before they can get to the part to where they can say, oh, this person has a personality disorder, maybe comorbid with something else, or, with manic depressive episodes with blah, 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 blah. But yeah, and now if you're asking, is it hard to just get labeled as a narcissist, just the word? No, people throw that stupid term around all the freaking time. You don't respond to somebody correctly. Oh, you're a narcissist. Everyone is using that word as a derogatory term, which that's kind of how we're using it too. We're saying, oh, the narcissist. But people use it all the time. It is so overused. That's why a lot of times I'll say toxic narcissistic personality type, because it's used way too much. Happy Camper, if that is what you were talking about, please let me know. Trill says, Duane, I think even with the right attorney in court, you shouldn't focus on pointing the finger. Yeah, absolutely. It's true. Remain focused on the best interest of your child. Let the narc expose themselves in front of the judge. Excellent point. Excellent point. Absolutely agree with you on that. John says to Duane, she had an attorney coaching her through all of this who used to be a district court RO. Resource officer? To keep the case going and took all her money. Duane, she's broke now. See, that's the thing. It's like these toxic people, they don't care about winning. They don't see, they're not a long-term thinker most of the time. And most of the attorneys, not all of them, but a lot of them, I was very fortunate that I had an attorney that wasn't like that was not interested in taking every dime they could from me and just shooting me out the door. There was a lot of conversations where they would say, do you really want to do that? That's going to cost a lot of money. This is probably a better course of action. They were not trying to just, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, oh, you said she's, she does this. Oh, well, we can do this and that and the other. Lau says it's an umbrella term. It is, and way overused. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to read through. GA says, Duane, day 1 or 2 after I left, she was labeling me a narcissist. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I don't think there's a moderator on tonight. Huh. That could be problematic. But we are rolling up on the 7 o'clock hour. So we will be wrapping this up. Let me just double check the rest of the comments before I get out of here. Let me look first before I change topics. Trill says, Duane, my ex called the police while I was asleep and lied to them saying I hit her. They clearly scene violence didn't take place, and they made me leave my home for the next night. Next day, she wrecked my place. See, and I think when cops do that, they're really doing you a favor. I mean, and at the time, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, and it doesn't feel like it because she wrecked your place too, Trill. But they know that you're dealing with somebody who's trying to really get you in trouble. I mean, see, what your ex would do the next time is hit herself in the face, or slam her head in the door, or do something to put a mark on there and go, he did this, see right here, and then you're hosed. You have a mark on them. If they can show a mark, dang it, I hit this and now it's all loose. Crap. You're going to jail, right? I mean, and it doesn't take much. I've seen that happen to people before. So you have to really be careful. And sometimes when the police kindly escort you out, they sometimes are doing you a favor. I know, Trill. Trill, let me ask you this. Did you feel like it was a favor, or did you feel like they set you up for everything to get destroyed? My guess is that you're going to feel like you got set up and everything got destroyed. I'm just looking at the comments, looking for where I'm tagged. John says, Duane, my attorney said we don't have the money for this. Her attorney said, give me all your money. See, it's funny you say that, because I know we took a significant amount of money out of my retirement savings to pay bills down, right, so that we could survive. And so I had a ton of cash. I mean, I had a lot of cash. And I know the ex went to the attorney and said, I'm not going to say the number, but said, he has this much money, which was what I'd saved it for taxes. And it was a huge amount of money that I had to pay for taxes. It was really depressing. And that attorney was fixated on that money. She wanted a complete accounting of it. She wanted all the details turned over. And I know what she was thinking. She's like, oh, well, I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to rack all these bills. I'm going to get racked up. So she racked up a ton of money. And then it took a while for the attorney to realize, oh crap, there's no money. And this lady doesn't have any money, and this husband doesn't have any money. So this is not, this case isn't helping me out. And then shortly afterwards, they stopped helping her. What the L? Hey, what the L? I didn't see you come on. Says, Duane, hi there. I think you offer a role-playing practice, but forgot where to sign up for it. I have a situation coming up with an ex-best friend narcissist, and some advice planning will be good. Well, send me a note or schedule some coaching time, and we could go through that. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. And if you don't want to do the coaching, we can, just send me an email and I can try to help you. And I would say on one thing, I've noticed some people try to send me comments or messages on Facebook. If I happen to be on, that's great. But especially on the page when you send it, sometimes it doesn't really notify real well. So it's really tough for me to catch those. I know I'm not doing great on the emails. I mean, I'm trying the best I can, but it's, but just the Facebook part's probably not a great way. Probably, well, I'm trying to think what other platform. Email would be best. Okay. Let me just look. All right. Trill says, Duane, yep, especially working a city job where they don't tolerate criminal cases, and I would have lost my job. That happened in the beginning of my breakup with her. Yeah, and that's kind of what was happening with me. Some of the stuff she was doing absolutely was putting my career at risk. So I was very tense. Okay, so on that, we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you want to take back your life, stop this abuse, figure out how to, build your relationship with yourself and your kids, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you don't miss a thing. John had also said, oh my God, the opposing attorney did the same thing, Duane. He said in court I needed to liquidate all my assets and sell my houses. I said to him in court, no, you sell all your assets. Love that. That's funny. All right. If I did mention this earlier, I am doing coaching. If you guys feel like a coaching session would be good, you can sign up for that at dadsfindmedivorce.com/coaching. And I will chat with you guys in the next video. So take care. Have a good night. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.